Hello, this is Guy and Fulcrum. We're here with a different kind of video today. We wanted to touch on how Metroid Prime 4 is going to be delayed for quite a while due to certain changes with the development team as told by Nintendo in a recent video released.
Well, we literally know what they are. They kicked out the entire old development team. Except for the director, I believe? Or director or producer, one of those.
Interesting. I heard a while ago rumors that Bandai Namco was originally making the game, but they were never confirmed.
That's what...
which would be interesting.
That's what I've been hearing.
Yeah. It's such a big developer. If there had been clear problems with the game until now, and Nintendo decided to stop using them, that might be something to go off of for future games coming from Bandai. But again, it's only just been rumors about where the game was coming from originally.
I mean, considering that, like, Sakurai is such a perfectionist, he's been pretty happy developing Smash with Bandai Namco. So it would seem to speak more to that individual team's incompetence than, like, the company itself.
Yeah, I would agree. And it's interesting that the game has been under their eye for quite some time. Like, the game was originally announced, I want to say almost 2 years ago. It's been a long time, and we've seen no footage of it whatsoever.
Like,
which was kind of worrying at first.
The angle I kind of look at it from is that it's encouraging. Like, that and Metroid and Samus Returns came, like, really close together. And, like, before that, the last real Metroid game was arguably, what, Fusion? Or Prime 3, whichever of those came out last?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
I guess...
they're very different games in either case.
But, like, between them and now, we only got Other M, which I like, but, you know, and Federation Force.
Which was considered a failure, although
it was,
I think there's,
like,
some merit to it.
Yeah, it's not a terrible game, but it's a failure to understand what the fan base wanted.
It's certainly not at all what people were expecting from the Prime franchise.
And then, well, like, and we were kind of worried that they were like, oh, we're going to take Metroid in a new direction, because Metroid's never traditionally sold well. And then now, all of a sudden, Nintendo's like, hey, we're giving this a real chance.
Yeah, I think this is very interesting to me, because Metroid is traditionally a series that hasn't performed well in Japan and in the East. It's more of a West popular series.
But we, like, really like it over here.
Yeah. And it's very interesting that Nintendo is watching this game so carefully, because it means that they're clearly putting some sort of money onto it. They really want it to succeed.
I feel like this is more indicative of, like, the more recent Nintendo. Like, this is something that Wii U era Nintendo didn't understand.
That's true.
Because Wii U...
They really want that quality on all their games right now.
Well, okay. That's another point I'd like to bring up, I guess, is that Nintendo has... While Nintendo is still creating quality games, they're creating games that are a little bit disappointing.
Elaborate?
On launch, anyway. Star Allies was, as much as the two of us here at Guy and Fulcrum love it, like, it disappointed a lot of people because it was very short and very easy. And I would say, compared to the, like, trilogy of games that came before it, Triple Deluxe Robot and Return to Dreamland were all better games, in my opinion. So I think Star Allies was a step down from that. Mario Tennis Aces didn't have enough content. The story mode was disappointing from what I hear. It's basically just an online game. And then Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, as good as those games, as I think they are, they have, like, basically no post-game content. They're really just kind of bland Kanto remakes.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from here.
So,
and while those games, except for Let's Go, have received a DLC and significant changes then upon launch, that's not necessarily something you can do easily with a Metroid game.
Well, right, and, like, the DLC also shows that Nintendo is listening. I could see Let's Go just being a Game Freak getting used to the Switch. Let's pump out a Pokemon game while we're working on Gen 8. So if Gen 8 is breathtaking, I feel like Let's Go will be more validated. From a consumer point of view, it still kind of sucks that I had to pay $60 for a subpar Pokemon game to then go around and pay $60 for a much better Pokemon game.
I do think we should consider that Pokemon Let's Go and Kirby Star Allies were done by HAL, or were done in Game Freak and HAL respectively.
True.
Yeah. And I do think that they're very separate from Nintendo, as they make a lot of decisions on their own, especially HAL and Game Freak.
Well, then, if we take a step back and look at the larger gaming landscape, which we here at Guy and Fulcrum are bad at doing, Fallout 76 is kind of the big ticket thing right now, because do you know how did you know about that situation, Guy?
I heard that it didn't do that well. Usually I haven't followed the Fallout games as much as I should. I know that there's a lot of people upset about it, and there's been a lot of people, very much defending it. It's a very controversial issue right now.
Well, from what I've heard, the, head producer made some promises he didn't follow up on. And people kind of bought the game because it was Fallout, not because they waited to see if it was good or not, and then when they felt it was bad, they didn't really know what to do about it. So I think Nintendo, a lot of other companies will push out a game even if it's bad.
Yeah.
And I think it's very admirable what Nintendo is doing with Metroid Prime.
And I think that might have been somewhat of a problem with Star Allies. I very much love Star Allies as a game. It's one of my favorite games on the console, to be honest, even before the DLC was added. But parts of it kind of feel like it should have been with the base game, especially the very last section they added, Heroes in Another Dimension. I feel like that should have been with the base game, and it would have been received much better. Still a good game, but it could have been better.
Yeah, I didn't mean to knock on it. I just wanted to bring it up as an example of a game that is considered to be light on content.
So let's talk about Retro Studios, who's going to be handling the new Metroid Prime game.
A lot of the developers, from what I've heard, a lot of developers from the original trilogy are gone.
Yeah.
Now,
so going into this, we shouldn't...
They did make Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which is nothing to sneeze at. So they're at least still have a good track record.
Yes.
I personally hope they don't just, recycle old assets and just put out another Prime game and don't change anything.
I honestly don't think that's an option anymore. The way they worded it, it felt like they were going to have to work it from the ground up, which is a good thing in that they have to get creative with what they're using, but it's also a bad thing, and it's going to have to probably take 4 or 5 years to get a true, well-done Metroid Prime game out.
I would rather wait. What I really want is a world map, so you can go to, multiple different planets. And I'd also like my vision, I've had this in my head since Other M, is that you go to, the Galactic Federation capital, and you can, talk to shopkeepers and buy things, and, just walk around and, find bounty postings and go on bounties for, side quests and stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's right, but, Samus has never really been a contemporary bounty hunter. She's more of a genocide specialist.
That's very true. She's a genocide specialist. Yeah, but, also, infiltrating a proper space pirate camp would be really cool.
Yeah, and we kind of got that in Prime 1, because I played that about a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some cool stuff in Prime 1, but, I feel like the respawning enemies kind of ruins it. I want something more immersive that makes me feel more like I've taken out a space pirate camp.
Gotcha. Now, Retro Studios, right now they're known for mainly the Metroid Prime games and the Donkey Kong Country Returns series, which were both spectacular, but it is kind of that they're pretty new for a development company. And they don't have so many games under their belt right now. From when I was researching, I only saw a good 10 big ones that I could name.
They are an American developer, though, and I think that's important for Metroid because Metroid is, as we have said, a Western game. Other M specifically tried to target a Japanese audience. They tried to give the audience what they felt Japanese, culture valued in a woman, which was a bad idea all around because Samus needs to be atypical and all that. So I think Retro would understand feminism and what we want in Samus.
Yes. I would argue that I think Retro is probably going to do a good job with this, better than Bandai Namco might have done if they were the developer. I don't really have anything to base that off of, but Retro has kind of not really done anything too terrible yet. I don't have any reason right now to believe that they'd screw this up.
And I think Nintendo's
we just need to wait and see.
At this point going to be more cautious, and they're probably not going to let them screw up as much. Hopefully they won't force Retro to do anything dumb, which I don't think Nintendo will. This Nintendo, given their Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, they seem pretty open to new ideas right now, considering those two games, which really confuses me as to what on earth was going on at the first studio that made them want to leave.
I really want to know.
I would like to know what was so fundamentally broken about the game at that point that they decided it was better to just scrap the entire thing.
Yeah,
there must have been something interesting going on.
I don't even have a guess, to be honest with you. I figured I would, but like I don't even know.
My best guess would be that they saw that they weren't making a lot of good time on this, and it was taking forever for them to get a little bit done.
Fair.
But like it could be much worse. I don't know. I'm just really glad that Nintendo is on top of their games like that. You don't necessarily get that with other companies, and you don't necessarily get the kind of openness that Nintendo will straight up tell you why they're doing this and how long it's going to be until you get a game, and like it's just kind of refreshing for a company to be open about it.
Really, the one thing that I think is, I don't know. The other question is, are we getting a Prime HD trilogy on the Switch?
Yes. I think now would be a really good time to do that, because if you remember when Breath of the Wild was pushed back for quite a few years, they started releasing remakes of certain Zelda games to fill the void, and that did a good job of keeping people interested, and I think that would be a really good move on Nintendo's part if they wanted to right now.
Yeah, like, I am still very glad to own my Wii U because I can play like half the Zelda franchise on it. So like it feels a little bit weird that they didn't come out in this video and be like, we're gonna give you a Metroid Prime trilogy at some point to tide you over. So we might be getting that sometime later.
Yeah. But I even bought the Prime Trilogy recently. I mentioned I played it 1 year ago, and I only just got it 1 year ago, and I would still be very glad to go out and buy the Prime Trilogy if it was re-released in HD.
I'd have to, I'm in the middle of Metroid Prime 2 right now on my trilogy, and I'd have to, like, try and beat it, but yeah, I really would like to to play Prime 3 on my Switch.
Yeah, I think it would be
quite
an experience.
I will say I don't know how well the gyro on the Joy-Cons would work for motion control aiming.
I think that's something that they would allow you to toggle in that case.
What I would like to see...
And it would probably control like it did on the GameCube for Prime 1.
What I would like to see is like Breath of the Wild style, where like it's button controlled for everything else, but like actually shooting is with the gyro. Because that felt so good
nice.
In Breath of the Wild.
It's so hard to go back to normal games after playing Breath of the Wild, and even Splatoon to a degree. Just motion controls are so useful in new games.
I mean, it's hard to go back to a normal game after playing Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild, but also the motion control.
Yeah. Well, I think we touched on all the topics we can right now. We're running just out of time. Do you have any closing remarks on this whole debacle?
It's not... I would say it's not a debacle. I would say it's a debacle on whatever the first studio is. But I think Nintendo handled this extremely well. It's disappointing, but it's also just reassuring and makes me feel more, like I have more of a reason to be a Nintendo kid,
Mm-hmm. It's reassuring, and I'm excited to see whatever they're going to put out in a while for Metroid, and hopefully we can see some good stuff in the future. I'm Guy.
I'm Fulcrum.
And we'll see you later.
Yep.